Hey, this is Andy Kyner here in Carlisle, Iowa, founder of the Iowa ATV Hare Scramble Series and the GBC Heartland Challenge. Up next on Quad Radio.
So I'm here with our sponsored rider, Walker Fowler, championship again. Just tell me a little about our relationship that you have with DP.
My relationship with DP Brakes, man, goes back from literally, I believe 2002 or 2003 when I started running national stuff. And owner Larry Mills, we kind of were in contact with him even before that. So, all our youth dirt bikes at the time, KTM 65s, the Cobras back in the day, 300EXs, Raptor 250s, YFZ 450s, and now in a YFZ 1000R. He's always had us covered, and it's just been, stopping has never been an issue in my world.
Hello and welcome to the voice of the ATV Racing Nation, quadradio.net. I'm Rodney Tomlin, and this is Quad Radio. And tonight, my guest Andy Kyner is going to be joining us. He's going to be talking about a whole lot of great things, including the Iowa ATV Off-Road Series, a new series coming up, and of course the Heartland Challenge, something that has been going on for many, many years. And we'd like to take this opportunity to say a special thanks to many great folks, which include our good friends there at 88 Live to Ride, racing toward rider safety. And you can always check them out on their Facebook page and doing some great things behind the scene and oftentimes in front of the scene as well. But good people, good project that they got going on over there, and we appreciate the support that they show us here at Quad Radio. We also want to take this opportunity to say a special thanks to our good friends at DP Brakes, Larry Mills and the folks over there. Make sure that you email them and find out a little bit more about how you can become a part of that wonderful program they've got. And don't forget, anytime that you need your DP brakes, you can go to any Parts Unlimited dealer. What's stopping you? Literally, DP Brakes. And we also want to take this opportunity to thank you on behalf of our friends at Impact Solutions Group over in Little Hocking, Ohio. Jay Goebel, Casey Greek, and the boys ready to take care of all your suspension needs, your Elka suspension needs, and so much more. Give them a call, talk to them. They can tune you up and fit you right in. And we also want to take this opportunity to say thanks to our good friends at Jansen Motorsports, where you can find ATV sales and service available for you over there in the Wisconsin area. And again, thanks to JSR Moto Designs. We'll be coming with a little bit of new swag for Quad Radio here in the upcoming future. But right now, it's time to turn our attention to the great things that are going on here in the off-road racing world. And that is, of course, some big news, a little buzz going on. If you've been paying attention to what's been going on in social media, we saw a little clip and the snippet coming out of a brand new series that's going to be unveiling here in the 2019 championship season. It is a ATV and UTV series, which will kind of fit the bill and come in and, I guess, pick up where GNCC UTV Racing left off. And my guest, Andy Kyner. Andy, welcome to Quad Radio. I guess there's a whole lot of buzz going on out there in the Midwest about what's about ready to take place. But I guess first and foremost, we need to take this opportunity to just say hello and welcome right here to Quad Radio, man. Glad you took the opportunity to be with us tonight.
Thanks for asking. This is kind of a big deal for us too, so appreciate it.
Hey, not a problem. Now, I'm kind of familiar with the Iowa ATV Hare Scramble Series. You hear a little bit about that, a lot of talk about that and everything. And obviously, the GBC Heartland Challenge, that is something that has really taken on a life of its own. I don't know. I think that it continues to grow more and more every year. And if I'm wrong, you can correct me on that. But that's basically what I know about what's going on out there. And then I see this little clip of it and I think, this doesn't seem like a very bad idea at all. And it sounds like we might have a good individual at the helm of this one. So, Andy, good thinking there. And I think that you got something, maybe a gold mine that you're about ready to dig into and maybe not even realize it. Let's hope so anyway. And I think it's going to be great for the sport. So first and foremost, I just want you to tell me a little bit about yourself. You're out in, did you say Carlisle, Iowa?
Correct. Yep. Just a suburb of Des Moines right here. So, yep. It's the flyover state, as they call it. So, but, basically going back to it, 14 years ago is when we started the Iowa series. And it was truly because there wasn't much going on around here. There was no ATV racing whatsoever, and just one of those things when we fell in love with the sport back in, I didn't really start riding until 2001. And went to my first hare scramble and just drank the Kool-Aid. I was done. It was a drug to me, and I still love it to this day. And just if something that had to be done, I thought, for us I had to make a choice to keep riding and keep racing, or, provide something for my kids growing up and for a lot of other families here in Iowa and surrounding states. And it just brought us a lot of enjoyment through a lot of friends and family here. And it's just made a huge race family is what it's done. We couldn't be more proud of the series.
So when it all began, how many races did you have when it all started? Was it just a little trial and error thing that you started some 14 years ago?
No, we're not the smartest. We don't do things halfway. So we decided to jump in. We did 7 races right from the get-go. About halfway through that first race, we were certainly questioning what the heck we were doing, because everybody thinks it looks easy, and boy, did we learn a lot in the first hour of the first race. And it was a lot of question marks came up. But again, the people we met the very first race, and we expected about 50 people to be there the first race. I think we had like 158 entries. So it was something that we probably weren't prepared for. But it's just been golden ever since, and just surrounded by a lot of good people to make it happen.
And that's what it takes. You got to have good people, and obviously you began the series with good people around you, and it continues to attract good people. How long have you been doing this GBC Heartland Challenge thing? This is something it's what, a 10-hour race, and what spawned this?
So really, it was a thing where I had raced in the very first 12-hour race, 12 Hours of America race. It was here in Iowa. And it just, again, it was something that was different, and it just hooked me. I really enjoyed it. Again, we weren't going to compete with that whatsoever, and it kind of fizzled away and left Iowa and just kind of disappeared. So same thing as this. We got a lot of calls and questions. Hey, what about doing something like this? GBC came on board, actually Harlan Foley with ATV Riders, and I kind of started talking about this and started just doing a little bit of, I suppose we probably spent 40 hours on the phone in the first week. We actually started talking about this, and it's just something we kind of dreamt up and said, we didn't want to copy anything off a 12-hour, but we wanted to make changes. We wanted to make it different. We just want to make it fun. And most of all, with all of our stuff, we wanted a family-friendly event. And it seemed to be, I found if you follow your passion, things a little easier than what you would think it might be, so that's what we do. And GBC came on board at the ground level, and literally everything that we do, I don't ask them hardly anything that they don't know what I'm going to say, and vice versa. And they've been great coming out here every year from California, Tennessee, Louisiana, just everywhere. And it's just been a huge family thing to have a big company like that come on board. I think it speaks volumes to really have somebody like that, the same sponsor for 11 years now. And that's huge, and we couldn't be more happy with them or the people that come out and get to spend a weekend. I don't think too many people plan on vacationing in Iowa. And that's what it's really became. It's, a lot of the pros that come out, and the individuals that come out, and the amateurs, they come out, and every year it seems like they spend an extra day or 2 days here in the state, going to the state fair, doing something, and just no pressure. It's just a lot of fun, and it's just a lot of cool event. I have fun there, and there's a lot of pressure for us, but it's my funnest time of the year. So,
I got to tell you, I have heard nothing but positive things. I don't think I've heard anything negative about the Heartland Challenge at all. Normally there's a disgruntled person here or there, and I've never heard anything. No discouraging words whatsoever. And whatever you're doing out there, keep doing it. You're doing it right, and I think it's a great thing that you got going on. And you talk about phone calls and stuff, and I imagine one of the reasons that we're talking now. I wish we would have talked sooner, prior to the earlier this Heartland Challenge and years before, honestly. But now that we've got a relationship, we'll certainly talk about it in the future. But right now, we got something brand new that's on the table, and we kind of cracked that can of worms. You guys did on the social media side of things with with a blitz, I guess just a little video campaign that you did. Sparked a lot of interest, caught my attention, obviously, and and I just mentioned it, you know, in an interview with Ryan Smith from B&R Motorsports. And I got to tell you, my private message board lit up. I had a lot of folks talking to me. I had several folks saying, you need to talk to Andy. And I was like, you know, this seems like the perfect opportunity, because there are a lot of questions. You know, the GNCC are not going to be doing UTVs in the future. They've decided that as a business and for business reasons. And you're obviously, you saw that, and you're already in that market, in that neighborhood, and you thought, hey, you know, I've got something out here in the Midwest I can offer, and I can give these guys a platform. And hence, I'm just kind of, correct me if I'm wrong, and I guess that's how the American Cross Country Championship Series was born, I would assume, correct?
Absolutely. Yep. It's there's a little more history to it. The fact that this is the perfect storm, the reason it's happening right now. Ideally, we're setting up to wanting to do something in a national level, you know, 4 or 5 years down the road, maybe, when I've got a son that's a senior in high school, and I got one that's a sophomore in college, and just didn't really want to be doing it quite yet, ideally. But when everything happened, and I'm going to say it probably several times during this interview, but nothing I say is against GNCC. It's just a reflection of what's going on. And when they decided to drop the side-by-sides, it's a perfect storm for it to happen right now. So it's not like we didn't want to do it, just wasn't prepared quite yet. And now, once again, kind of leaning on those people that's been around us the whole time. And Sean Stratton, our media guy with XS Motorsports, talked me in, and he had to twist my arm about putting that little teaser out there. And I thought, man, I'm just not ready yet. He says, you won't understand the support that you're going to have until you let people know what you're thinking about. And he couldn't have been, you know, he was spot on. And it's been a crazy what that little video got us as far as people interest in, you know, and showing interest in it. So it's been a really cool deal. Yeah, we're very excited and scared.
Yeah, and rightfully so. I mean, it's a big bite to take. But I think, you know, you guys, it's not like you haven't nibbled on it already. You know, you haven't gotten a taste of it with the Heartland Challenge and stuff. So I think you're kind of in that market. So you're in a good position there. I guess a lot of the questions that I have right now, I mean, I see you've got UTVs, you've got ATVs. Obviously, Sunday's going to be focused solely on UTVs. Saturday will be the ATVs. Let's talk a little bit about this ATV structure. You've got the UTV market that's wide open. You've got dads, like you say, you know, people that are driving these, and they've got kids that maybe still on ATVs. So why not have the ATV races as well as UTV races, since that market is open? And so, voila, we've got a series that has been born there. I guess the question that I have, what kind of emphasis are you going to be putting on your ATV structure? Are you going to be having like a Premier Pro 4x4 class? Are you going to have specifically designed courses for these types of machines? Are you going to be a sport pro class? How's this all going to work? How's it all going to break down?
Yep. So we're going to have, if you look at the GNCC, you look at our series, I don't think there's anybody around the country that don't have a local series that doesn't tell you when they structured theirs, they looked at the GNCC. You don't want to, you know, reinvent the wheel when it comes to redoing your rules and stuff like that. So they're going to be very close structured to what everybody's used to the way it is right now. This whole thing is basically just set up to where we're going to have our pros. We're going to have our Pro 4x4s. That's actually my passion way back, was that's what I raced, was the 4x4s. And it's just a passion that I got, and that's a growing part, I think, still. That's just an untapped market in my mind. So we'll have our women's classes, our amateur classes, our pro class. We'll work right into our 4x4 classes with several different. And honestly, it's going to be structured very close to what GNCC is going to see. I don't think you'll see too many differences as far as our rule package compared in classes. We just won't have as many classes as them, obviously. So, but yeah, it's just not fun if you try to race our series and then race our Iowa series and then turn around and have to race the Heartland and then go to GNCC, have a completely different structure. It doesn't work for anybody. So obviously you look at what's working and you kind of go from there.
Right. Now, are the 4x4 pros and the sport pros going to race together, or is that going to be something separate?
No, we're actually going to have 4 sessions, just kind of like what we do. It's really tapped right after our Iowa series. We're going to start off. I won't do anything without having youth. Youth is the heart of everything, and if we want our industry to move forward, we've got to focus more on the youth in my mind. We average anywhere from between 40 and 60 youth riders, ages 4 on up, in our series right now. And that's one reason I think our series has survived for 14 years, is because that focus has been on the whole family and not a pro or not just mom or dad. It's the whole family can come and race. So we're going to start out early in the morning with a 50cc class. We've done that ever since the day we started with a 50cc for 4-year-olds, up to, I think it's 7-year-olds. We're going to do something different. We're going to have a stock class. I know some people are going to laugh at that right away, but we average about 15 to 18 of those things every single race, and it gets the kids started. And it's the best race of the year or the day to watch, So we're going to start out with a 50cc and a 50 pro class, and then we're going to have that session for a half hour. We're going to go on up to another session a little bit later. That'll have all the youth classes from the 70s all the way up to the super minis. Again, not near as many classes as GNCC has. I think we have, I want to say it's 6 or 7 classes we have scheduled for that series or that part of the youth. And then we'll go right into our AM race with the most of the amateur riders. We're going to keep the 4x4s in the morning class. We're not going to put them in the afternoon. And then we'll have an afternoon session with our pros and our faster riders and stuff on the sport guys, and do that. We know we're lucky. The way we're doing it is we don't have a lot of extra stuff. We're not going to have a lot of outside, we're not going to be as big as, some other series out there. We're going to have a thing where we can just focus on our ATVs on Saturday, and that's it. Having the UTVs be the main day on Sunday, then being UTV only. That's a thing. Again, we're going to split them all up in sessions. We're going to have a youth race. We're going to have a morning session, and then we're going to have an afternoon session, which is, in my opinion, the difficulty of some of the bigger, GNCC having to race them all together with so much stuff going on. It's not their fault. It's just a time factor, and that's what we're going to be blessed with, having a whole day to focus on them and give them their full attention. And I think I think it can be golden. I think the guys can really have a chance to race with the quality of racers that they're at, the level, and not have to worry about a pro coming up so fast, or, and that's where I think we can get the mixed bag of tricks,
Absolutely. And, the beauty of it is that those guys are going to race someplace, and you might as well have a good established place like yourself doing it, rather than just somebody popping up and saying, hey, I'm going to have a UTV series out here. Come on out here, boys, and let's race these things. You're experienced with it. You've been around, and you've got it. Sounds like you've got a good plan and a good structure. I think that's great. Now, one thing that I touched on, and I think you're a believer in as well, is the fact that your championship, the one thing is you don't want to be a competitive championship, and you don't want people to believe that that's what you're out to do right now. This is just a great addition to the great racing that ATV already has, hopefully to help build it in your area and nationwide.
Absolutely. Yep. And we're in I call it the lost nation, and again, I'm going to say this a lot with GNCC when I reference it. We're not going to be a competitor with it. I got to tell you a small, quick story. At the Ironman this year, my Chris McKean, a good friend of mine, does our scoring. We got out of the car at GNCC. We pulled in about 9:00 on Friday night, and we pulled in there, and he's coming out just to kind of educate and watch stuff and everything. And he's like, what are we doing? Because we're looking at the Ironman. I was like, bud, this is 30, 40 years experience. This ain't nothing what we're doing, So it's one of those things where you got to keep things in check, and it's one of those things when people start comparing you, it's the nature of the beast is what's going to happen. When it all comes down to it, when we decide to do this, I'll be the first one to tell you somebody was going to do it. That's all there was to it. Somebody was going to do it. And my passion for the sport is, I think, as strong as anybody out there. And I think anybody that knows me would say that. And I fear for our sport where we're at right now. I really do. And to lose the side-by-sides away from the ATVs, it's just natural for that manufacturers and OEM support to follow the UTVs with that being the fastest second. With that being said, it's very hard to see the future of us growing with ATVs without having the side-by-sides there. So it was very important for us. This may sound bullheaded when I say this, but somebody was going to do it. And I know it's on my shoulders now too, since we've already said we're going to do this. If it's done wrong, it's going to hurt us all. And I really believe that if we follow the structure that we believe in and do it, I know it can work. I know it can work. And it's just getting the people behind us to rally and say it can. But moving forward, it's just, you got to remember when you do this stuff, you can have it, anybody can promote something. That's not a problem. But you can promote it for how long? It could be a year or 2 years, and you can ruin the whole sport as far as I'm concerned. And it hurts me as a promoter, hurts the next state over as a promoter if it's done wrong. So our focus is making sure, number one, we don't care about having the 7 biggest races. I'm never going to be a GNCC. I'm telling you that right now. We don't want to put on the 7 biggest races we can put on. We want to put on the 7 best races that we can put on and be completely content with that. Focus on our passion. Make sure those people, when they walk through the gate, they understand what our passion is, and move forward there. That's our whole thing.
Hey, you know, I think with a mindset like that, things are going to be good. And, you know, hey, you never know, man. You might be bigger than what you realize, quicker than what you realize. Now, on time constraints, I know you've got things to do, and folks that are watching have got things to do as well. I've got some questions here, things that I posted on Facebook for people to send some questions, and I'll try to get as many of them as I can. And I'll just start here where I see them. And it starts here. It says, this one's from Ryan Thornton. He says, with the new series, how far east do you plan on running? Tell the folks a little bit about the series. I think it's probably on your website or someplace already anyway, isn't it?
Yeah, it's on there. And our footprint that we're going to do that first year is a pretty solid footprint for the first 1 to 2 to maybe 3 years. Our focus is on the locals. That may sound silly with more than what most people might think, but we're not stopping our Iowa series. Iowa series, people around Iowa have built it and deserve it. You know, we go to Indiana, IXCR, hopefully we'll be working with them guys, Texas, you know, all these local series. We want to actually build them up with bringing a national around this area that never gets it. You know, with GNCC being back out on the east side, it's a very hard footprint for us to drive so far, you know, and there's some guys here that do it. And I hope they keep doing it. But this is basically just bringing something to that mid-east. You know, Ohio, to answer the question, I guess, Ohio is about the furthest that we want to go out there. And that's probably even just a little bit further than what we were actually looking for. There's just been a lot of requests to get out there. So with that being said, we have no intention, if you look at GNCC's footprint and being mainly an East Coast, ours are all going to be on the inner where there's really nothing going on. And I shouldn't say nothing going on, but nothing on in a big series platform, whether it be a regional or national series. And basically on ours, the country's going to have to come to the center if they want to race it, you know. So we fully intend that most people are going to be on the East Coast or obviously GNCC. When they come to the you know, the center, you know, hopefully they're going to check us out and follow the series. And, you know, only doing 7 races, there's a reason for that. And I'm a big believer in it. Maybe I shouldn't say it this way, but I'm a stock car fan, or sprint car fan here in Iowa, you know, in Knoxville. And I grew up around the stock car tracks. And unfortunately, those guys that race 3-4 nights a week and they have to work on their machines 3 or 4 nights a week. And you walk through the pits and you find out that they each got, you know, a couple ex-wives and a girlfriend and a couple mortgages on the house to keep this $10,000 car going, you know. So I learned right away that if we're going to have any success in this, it's got to be a family sport. And we're only doing it once a month, you know, for the most part, 7 times a year so that people can go. And what we do our series here. And that way, if they want to go race a GNCC, man, go do it. And we've had a lot of success with our guys that's, you know, started with us or race with us and go and race the GNCC. And I'm glued to the phone every time because I can't make it every time, watching them. And, you know, and it's been awesome. Our guys that have been doing it, they've done really well. So we're proud of them guys. And we're going to be proud of just the footprint that we have here in, you know, the Mid-East. So
awesome. So that's called the Mid-East. I wondered how that's not the Midwest, that's the Mid-East. Well, I don't know how that all works.
I've been told that. I just tell everybody it's the Heartland. So that's all. You know, so,
in the Heartland. I like that. I like the Heartland too. So we'll go with that. That's how we'll tag it. The Heartland. Yeah, the Heartland series. Okay. The next question that I have is from Brian Nicely. He says, other than being exclusively ATV, UTV, and geographically location of races, and I think we may have already answered this question, what are the differences between the AXCC and the GNCC? And I think it's pretty obvious what we're looking at there. You might be able to nutshell it real quick for us if you want to.
30-some years experience, first year. Pretty much take it down. You know, our thing, again, like I said, is there's a ton of people. When I go to the Ironman, which I know is different than the rest of them, it's almost a circus. There's so many people there, and it's so awesome to see our sport. And the last thing we ever want to do is take that away. When you have a big events like that, that should be the top of the food chain, you know. But for, like I said, for focusing on the four-wheelers, we're just hoping we can be that, and especially the UTVs, we can be that fit for most people. Whether it be the UTVs around the country or the ATVs around the Heartland. So.
There you go. There you go. Tyler Willie wants to know, is AMA going to consider this as a national championship?
So that's a great question. We're hoping maybe someday down the road, GNCC will work with us on this. It's a tough thing. Obviously, for the UTVs, it's a national series. Absolutely. There's nothing holding us back from there. But I think it's open to everybody that GNCC is obviously the national circuit for ATVs. They hold that. And we respect that. We've never done anything that's not AMA sanctioned as far as the ATVs, and we never will. We've always been loyal to AMA. That's the first phone call we ever made when it comes to setting up our local series. So with that being said, right now as it stands, it cannot be a true national series because AMA does hold that title for the national series. It is a little ironic when you look at stuff, and this is no finger pointing and stuff, but we were sitting there looking out with AMA, and we figured out that I believe it's GNCC's covering 3 regions of AMA. In our first year, we're going to cover 4 regions. So we're right there as far as being able to do it. But they obviously are the big dog in this thing, you know, and I'm hoping maybe someday down the road they'll look at us and say, hey, for ATVs, you know, I still feel, and again, it's not against them, I just feel that the support of the manufacturers are going to always follow the UTVs now. We're past, you know, that bend, and I'm hoping we can create a thing where ATVs start coming back. We get more OEM support there. So we're working on getting it into a true national championship. But as right now, AMA is telling us that right now it's going to be called the Central Region Championship. I think if I can put my 2 cents in there, I'm going to consider it a national because I'm going to give these guys what they want and what they deserve. And it's no secondhand. You know, we're not flirting with anything else. This is their passion. And I think when they come in there, they're going to get that national feel. I really do. So, but to tell you the truth, I mean, that's where it's got to be right now is a Central Region Championship for AMA. And then we're hoping to get it moved up, obviously, into a true national championship.
Well, hey, you know, you got to start somewhere, and that carries clout as well whenever, you know, the AMA recognizes it, you know. So I think that, you know, that's a good thing there. So, David Petithori, will you run a short course race and have all different racing styles come race against each other? Always was a great series when you did it with great turnouts from different disciplines of racing. It must be you might know what he's talking about there. I don't.
Yeah, Dave's a short course fan. He's been racing for him and his family for many, many years, and that's something we'll talk about in a different day. We used to do a short course series and had a lot of fun with it. Really put people in the spotlight, you know, in a MX type short course thing. So it won't have anything to do with this one, but yeah, I know what he's wanting, and I love the guy for having so much passion on it. So,
all right, Kendall Cruz. So, will you be starting dead engine with hands on helmet like IAATVHS?
Yeah, are you familiar with that, Rodney?
Not. I imagine it's, you know, you instead of, because of the thumb starts and stuff like that, you know, you make people start putting their hands on their helmets so you wouldn't have any false starts, I would assume, correct?
That is right. And a lot of people don't realize it. It's a trademark of ours. I mean, everybody comes and when I say hands on helmet, you get a new guy and they're like looking around like, what is he talking about? You know, because most people don't do anything like that, but it's kind of a trademark of ours. The reason that will stay, I'll answer that question. The reason it will stay is truly a safety thing, because when I have guys put their heads on their helmets and I come around and put the hand, saying, you ready, pointing towards them, I get them to do a head shake with both hands on their helmets. And when they do that, I can tell if the helmets are latched or if they're hanging down. I've caught a lot of them being hanging down, forgotten about it. Not only that, but it staggers the start quite a bit when they have to come down. And there's always issues, guys with kickers asking about it, but I got guys with kickers winning every single one of our starts almost. So it's just adapting thing to it. Just a little thing. I think if you're afraid to do those little changes, you probably shouldn't be doing this. So.
Right. And that's just part of the
Exactly.
the game right there. That's just the way it is. Rob Zajal, any chance of running a lights UTV class 800cc in this new series?
There's always an opportunity. We've always taken the classes that maybe are past tense, maybe kind of working their dwindling away, and tried to extend them. We've always done that. We run a lights class in ours right now. Right now, there's nothing off the table. The lights class, I would almost tell you, probably will be a part of it. But it's obviously something that we've got to get the numbers up in order to retain it. So,
Tim Franklin wants to know, when will the schedule release?
I was waiting for that. So a lot of people asking that. I know I feel bad because there's a lot of manufacturers, a lot of contracts are being up right now wanting to know. There's many reasons that we're not doing it yet. Number one is it's not solidified. We're looking still for locations in Ohio. I told you that's not one of our strong points out there. We want to bring it to them, and it may not last the second year. It may be there every year. But we want to focus on all these tracks that we're at right now. And we have not got our track. I don't want to release one. We're probably going to be releasing a little teaser, at least a couple dates here and there in the next couple weeks. I believe that we're going to probably have it wrapped up pretty soon. We got 2 states that we really need to focus on in order to get those dates out. And it all depends on the locations, obviously, if the dates are going to work. But our goal is obviously not to be on a GNCC so that people can go do, all of them if they want to. Good luck with doing that. But it's a lot of racing. But, like I said, us only doing 7 of them, that is so that people can go do that. And that's what we want. So,
hey, for the real diehards, that's 20 weeks a year right there. Steve Martin wants to know, ATV Saturday, side-by-side Sunday. I'll answer that question, yes. Bentley Farmer, will there be a youth AM and PM races for ATV? We can answer that. That's going to be yes. We've already answered that, I think. Yep. Glenn Turner, any chance of possibly co-sanctioning events with regional series to bring exposure to the sport as a whole? Glenn Turner, I think, is a part of the Southeast Quads, if I'm not mistaken. So pretty good question there. Any chance of that?
Absolutely. Our goal would be to have, if there's when we go to, I'm just going to use Indiana, for example. Indiana is a great state of ATV racing. I think everybody knows about that, but they've got at least 3 series I'm aware of out there. Our goal, and sometimes they don't always work together, different places. Our goal would be to get as many series as possible in there so that we can highlight them and make sure that they're a part of this in a way that people understand that we're there 1 week, 1 weekend, but there's series is going on in these states, almost every day. I think in Indiana, you could pretty much go race every weekend if you wanted to. Other states may not be so lucky. Tennessee, Kentucky, Texas, it might be a different story. So, we can highlight them. Here, I'm right here in Iowa, and I still have people in my hometown saying, what's going on out there? Didn't know about a race, and obviously we don't have the funding for the big advertising, and I'm guessing there's a lot of other local series is the same situation. So we're open that we can bring highlight to their series and be a part of something a little bigger, to start out with, and then just keep making it to where that new guy comes out. He might be racing the Oklahoma series or the Texas series, the following weekend. So that's one of our primary purposes of doing this.
Well, I tell you, it sounds like you might have your ducks in a row, and what you got going on out there in the Mideast, the Central, the West, whatever we finally described this as. I tell you, you got. I think the UTV thing that you got going on is a great thing. Like you said, I think that's going to bring a lot of national exposure for this championship for you, and like I'd mentioned before, it's all about growing the sport of ATVs. We already know that the AMA is not necessarily UTV friendly, but we need to keep the ATVs with UTVs, I think, at this particular point, to keep that platform alive and to keep the interest of the manufacturers in making and continuing to sport ATVs. I like the way you're thinking there, and I think that's a good way to do it.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And I think anybody that looks at one series and talks negative or positive about the other one type thing, doesn't always have our sport in their best interest. And that's what it's all about. So
that's it, Andy. I think you put it best right there, man. Keeping our sport in the best interest. Perfect. We don't want anybody bashing anybody. No GNCCers bashing. I don't think you're going to get bashed anyway, but people always like to I guess give their opinions. Just remember some opinions are not necessarily beneficial to the advancing the sport. So let's keep the thought of the sport and moving it forward in our mindset rather than what our taste in our mouth is at this particular time.
Absolutely. Yep. Fully agree.
All right. Any parting shots, anything that you want to say before I let you go?
No, I just like to thank everybody. Thanks for the opportunity to come on here and kind of clear some stuff up. There's been a lot of stuff said on the goods and the bads, and like I said, we're after the 7 best races that we can put on in the Heartland and the Central and down in Texas, which seems kind of different for us to go clear down there, but it's to get as many people involved as we can and over in this area. And it's just something that we want to give something that's not here right now. And in a perfect world, we go to Ironman every single year and we have 50 to 60 racers at least minimum from Iowa out there racing. And, that's a holiday for us. We don't have to do anything. We show up, have a great time and watch it. And that would be my focus too. And maybe someday down the road, here I'm throwing ideas out already, but maybe someday down the road we can have a thing where we could co-sanction with them with Ironman or something. Not that they need more racers there, but but have a thing where it's a east and west type thing, and it's just cool to see our guys go out there. And I've been very fortunate to get to watch them, and they've all done really well when they go up against the national guys, and something to be proud of. And hopefully now we'll not only see the Iowa guys and the Heartland guys, but the American cross country guys be at the Ironman at the end of the year, and kind of a kickoff for the the winter to start, and just have fun out there and do what everybody does. Everybody loves Ironman.
Yeah, everybody does. I still yep, I love it. Always, you can't explain what the Ironman is. It's just different. There's no doubt about it. Kind of like snowshoe. It's totally different than any of the other GNCCs as well. But Andy, thanks for being on board, and good luck to you. I hope that things go well. Maybe we'll get a chance to stop out and see one of your races and see how things are going, especially if you make it to Ohio. I'd love to see what's going on there. And again, thanks for being here on Quad Radio.
Yeah, appreciate it. Like I said, we're going to make mistakes, but we're going to learn and move forward. So thanks for everything you're doing.
That's Andy Kyner. I'm Rodney Tomlin. This is Quad Radio.